Thank you very much to all my four speakers. I hope you have jotted your questions down. But this story here really, colleagues, is to inspire you to also think on how you can take your research to the marketplace. We are demonstrating to you that others are doing it, they've got the products, they are working very hard. And the question to you is, where are you in the value chain? Is it just research for publication, or do you have any idea to translate your research? Secondly, for our investors, products have been de-risked. Therefore, they are on the commercial stage. Therefore, greater chances of getting your returns back. I'm sure my colleagues on stage are ready to share knowledge with you if you've got any idea. What they are doing is summarizing their life story. If we can ask them to share their pains, that will be 3-day seminar. We're sharing the good side of the enterprising. And I think they've demonstrated the role of collaboration as you go along in your commercialization. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to take hands. This is your opportunity to ask questions, and then we will answer. Please raise your hand if you have any question. I'm sure the microphones will be coming around. I saw one hand over there. Please go ahead. And you can specify who you want to answer the question.
Thank you very much for the wonderful presentations. I really enjoyed listening to each and every one of the panelists. The question that I'd like to ask goes to all the entrepreneurs on stage. Because you are running indigenous enterprises and you've been successful, you've figured out how to sell your products and how to market them really well. To the upcoming indigenous entrepreneurs in the room, what would you say is the one skill or quality that they need to have to ensure that they can succeed and remain resilient in starting up their indigenous enterprises? Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question. So, you know, Msomi mentioned that it's not easy penetrating the market as an indigenous entrepreneur, a brand that's you know, presenting products that have never been in the market before. So one of the things that really assisted us is that research that was done by, you know, the research institutions that supported us, you know, through support from the DSI, like your CSIR and your universities of Limpopo and so forth. That assisted us to have the confidence to really show that, you know, these indigenous claims are valid and that these products are safe for consumption. Then the second part is to really be innovative and move with the market and the trends so that your product is speaking the language of the modern consumer. So, you know, even when you do get your product out into the market, it's not a guarantee that people are going to buy your product. So what we did is we led with the storytelling. Right now, stories sell, and products that do well in the market are those that also have a unique selling point and a unique value proposition. And our unique value proposition lies within our culture and our heritage. So we lead with our story. Everywhere where we present ourselves, we ensure that we're unapologetically exposing our culture and our heritage, and that's what consumers relate to. But it's important also as an entrepreneur, speaking to the resilience, is to have a fighting spirit, to not give up. You'll get a lot of no's. We didn't just walk into the retailers and they automatically took our products. You know, it took us going back again and again and actually also learning what it is that we needed to do to improve our product, to improve our positioning and improve the way that we're presenting ourselves until it makes sense to the market and to the consumer. So it's important, and it's also important to work with and collaborate with others within the industry, because through a lot of collaborations we've been able to break down a lot of walls.
Thank you. That was the one skill you need. You've had it. Go ahead.
Hi, yeah, to sum it up, one word, I would say perseverance. You have to knock and knock and knock and make sure you get your breakthrough. And also important is listen to what the client wants. It's not what you want, it's what they want. But for the young entrepreneurs, I would say perseverance. Please carry on. Keep on knocking on those doors. Eventually, one door will open. Thank you.
Thank you. I feel like I'm just going to be echoing what my colleagues here have said, but I'm just going to point out three things. One would be perseverance, as mentioned. You need to knock on all doors until you find your yes. Secondly, would be innovative solutions. I mean, once you have your product, you can already look into diversifying, having an additional product range into your line of products. And also thirdly, and most importantly, I think scientific validation matters, because when you approach investors, when you approach retailers wanting to put your products into market, you must have the scientific backing to say that yes, this product works, yes, this product has proven to do this. Thank you.
This journey is not easy. That is the first point. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Because whatever you are building as a young entrepreneur, it's not gonna just stay with you alone. It's gonna go to the next generation. So tenacity, tenacity, tenacity. Don't lose hope when you are getting the no's. As one speaker said, we are getting a lot of no's, but because we are passionate about what we are doing, and we know that these products will eventually help our people, that is what is driving us. And we are not going anywhere up until we reach all four corners of this country. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So if you come around a course at your university called tenacity, perseverance, register for that thing, because you're gonna need it. But if you don't find it, if you are in the laboratory culturing your cells and they are not growing, you do it again. That's practical tenacity. Just keep on working on it. Thank you very much. Another question, I saw a hand, Dr. Mteo.
Thank you, Doctor. And also the stories from the presenters, I think they are very fascinating, from Setsong and from my brother there. But I think there's something which I picked from your stories and your presentation, which I think is quite very disturbing. As an IKS researcher, you say you used Western science to validate your indigenous knowledge. I think that is totally unacceptable from a paradigm shifting, because we cannot really use Western science as something that can promote, or if our knowledge, there is no addition into Western science and labs and going for testing, then we say it's not okay. So I think that paradigm shift needs to change, because from thousands of years, these communities, as you say, they've been using these teas without any scientific validation. And also, indigenous knowledge is a science in its own right. So we don't need Western science to validate. I want to hear your opinions around that, because I also have students who do research around. We are very against this kind of paradigms where we have to always use Western science to promote our own things. Why can't it be the other way around, where we use indigenous knowledge to promote this knowledge system if it comes to a push? I'm not a fan of integration. We have to develop parallel system to what is already existing. Why I say, because there is a lot of transformation that needs to happen. For instance, even in the Nursing Act and the nurses themselves, we say we want to integrate these systems into those modern health, but these people, they don't want to work with traditional healers. The Nursing Act itself does not tolerate traditional healing systems. So why do we want to still integrate these systems to Western science, which does not accommodate our own? Thank you.
Tate Mutheo, can you tell us about the product you commercialized without validating it?
Well,
Just one, not too many.
yeah, I would like not to use the word validating.
Okay.
Maybe valorizing can be the right terminology to use, which I think, yes, it speaks to what we are trying to talk about. I mean, there are so many things that are happening on the ground which have not gone to the labs and have not gone through Western scientific testing. They are still there, but because we want to use Western science to promote our own things, that's where the paradigm shift, I think, must happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Mepatla, why do you validate? Go sell without validating.
So, you know, when we began our journey, we were of a similar view, and we were also resistant, to be quite honest, you know, around that. Even, you know, Ntate Shabalala knows firsthand that, you know, we would question that. But, you know, I think we still have a lot of work to do as Africans and in our communities to do our own documentation of these, our indigenous claims and of our indigenous knowledge, because you know, it's our knowledge. It has been tested through hundreds of generations of use. So I completely agree there. And maybe instead of saying validating, let's say support the claims. And unfortunately, in the market, for us to have been able to break through the market, we needed the scientific work to back up what we were claiming has been already known, which has been known and passed down from generations to generations. But I think, you know, a lot of work still needs to be done for us to be at the forefront of our own research, and those African indigenous labs need to be developed. And I think that's a very important conversation for us to have. But for us where we are, to reach where we are and to demonstrate that our indigenous products can be commercialized, we had to use the systems that were there for us, that we had the access to. And the Western scientific laboratories were what we had access to, and we've been able to use them and also showcase the potential of our indigenous knowledge systems. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other one to add?
If I may, because I've also been mentioning scientific validation, but I just want to say the science validating the traditional products, for example, is not to say we disregard the traditional health practices, but the goal is, as in other countries, there are countries that have hospitals where there is both Western medicine being used and traditional health practices. We want South Africa to reach a stage where both can work together parallelly. This will enable scientifically validating products can assist with turning South Africa to take that route. We will be able to have a room where there's a traditional health practitioner working there, so that any patient that walks in can choose if I want to come to this side or if I want to go to take the Western medication. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you for your comment. But there are certain things that we'll agree to disagree as a people, and that is a healthy argument. Where we are sitting right now, we are doing indigenous knowledge work, but we are not just concentrating on South Africa only. We are living in a global village now. We want to see these products reaching as many countries as possible, because that will talk to Africa as well, having a greater market share in the world. That is why Prof. Maharaj earlier was talking about where we are sitting as Africa. It is because our production is not that great. But with this platform, if we can actually validate our products so that all the other countries internationally, they accept our indigenous knowledge, because it is not, science is not gonna change the indigenous knowledge. It's just to prove that it is working. In that way, you're gonna reach all countries. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I also understand there's some work that has taken place with SAPRA to recognize our IKS. Can anyone elaborate a little bit on that? Because hopefully we might not be required or subjected to all these preclinical, clinical trials and things that take forever and ever, and have an IKS path. Ntate Ank, over to you.
Thanks, Chair. I want to just settle back to the word validate. Maybe it may be correct if someone thinks that we are using one knowledge system to validate another knowledge system. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is that science is universal. Science doesn't belong to anybody. There is no Western science, there's no African science, there is just science. Just as there's just knowledge. That is why the theme is indigenous knowledge-based technology innovation. Now, to the question that you're asking, Ntati Joe, yes, it is true that in South Africa, we don't have regulations that accept African natural medicines to be part of the essential medicines list, unless they go through rigorous science for safety and quality and efficacy. For example, Retan, when Sichong came to us, when we said we need to do proper science if you want to commercialize. And one simple thing that they came back to us was that we had no clue that our products are filled with contaminants because of how we're harvesting. And science helped clean up the product and look at where they are today. So we must disabuse ourselves from thinking that science belongs to a certain nation or hemisphere of the world. Science is science. It simply means knowledge. On SAPRA, yes, we are working together with a group of experts, African knowledge, medicines practitioners, scientists, lawyers, to come up with regulations that can be accepted by the regulator, by SAPRA, so that these medicines can be used in our hospitals and clinics. And we're making great headways in the meantime, but we can't pronounce on that. It is ongoing work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think we can take one more question.
Thank you. Mine is about sustainability for the team. Is that what actions are you taking to secure the sustainability of the plant material that you are using in your products? In the presentations, I think we only heard that honeybush is being cultivated. What is happening with the other products? And also remember that if you're now commercializing, it means that there's going to be an impact to the communities who've always used those very same plants for their own uses. How is that being managed? But attended to that as well is this question of beneficiation, which always gets thrown at communities. We always touted as beneficiaries. I just want to know, has that beneficiation moved to the point where they become equity holders, equity participants in these companies that are now being established? Thank you.
Panel members, 2-minute answer. I know you can take the whole day answering. Let's start on the other end.
Thank you for that question. We are in a process when it comes to our project, Pre-Chap Health. We are in a process of talking to the communities that are harvesting the product for us. In a way, they are already benefiting because they harvest and we pay them. In that way, job creation is already there. But we want to take it a step further in such a way that, because we have realized that, yes, cooperatives, they work, but we want to take another route where we want to open a trust for the communities that are working with us. In that way, the trust will forever be there, and it will continue to receive money from our company as long as the company is functioning. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I believe I mentioned in our presentation that thanks to the funding that we've received, we have been able to build community members some facilities. We have greenhouses there where they can plant all these plants that we need for these products, and we develop these products for their benefit. So when we sell them so that the project can grow and they can, at the end, be able to be self-sustaining companies. In addition to building those greenhouses and offices, we have given them some agricultural training. So we want them to be able to not only plant these plants that we need for the iBrand products, but also so that they can grow and have other plants that they can sell, other businesses that can grow from this that we have started. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. Yes, on the honeybush side, it's cultivated, but we do have wild harvesting as well. That actually has declined over a couple of years. So people is moving more to the cultivation side instead. But, excuse me, the beneficiaries or the recognition actually goes to the coast and sand councils, because that's where it comes from. And yes, I'm glad I was part of the negotiations that it actually was signed off by the minister. So yes, the actual people that needs recognition, actually getting recognition, and then they get their percentage what they need to get, which is not our people today, which is the people from generations back. So yes, thank you.
Thank you for the question. So part of the support we've also received from the DSTI is that we've been able to do some work with the Agricultural Research Council to do some work on the research on cultivation of these indigenous plants that we're using. We've done trials on our farm and at the ARC, which were successful. So part of the funding actually that we're also looking for is to expand our cultivation so that we can secure our raw material. And the communities that we also work with that do our harvesting also benefited from agricultural training, which was Agri-CETA accredited through the ARC. So they've also gone through training to learn how to actually cultivate that raw material as well, so that in the future we can also develop an outgrower scheme, and those wild harvesters can also be empowered and capacitated to grow the raw material and continue to supply us. One of the plants that we're using, though, is a parasite. So we've developed protocols for sustainable harvesting and of sustainable wild harvesting. So actually also us harvesting that plant is also saving the host tree. So there's a lot of sustainability also around one of the plants, the tepane plant that we're using, because it's actually saving the host plant, because the more it grows, it actually starts to weaken the host plant. And then secondly, to the beneficiation. So in my presentation, I also mentioned that our company is 49% owned by 2 community cooperatives. And these are cooperatives that were part of the establishment of this company and that are part of the indigenous knowledge holders. But further to that, we've signed benefit sharing agreements with different communities that supply us with the raw material. So we've signed benefit sharing agreements with the tribal authorities in those communities. So aside from the communities in those areas benefiting from what they get paid for supplying us with raw material, their tribal councils also get a percentage, a royalty from the revenue or the profits that we generate from the raw material that they supply to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Panel members, we're going to reach the end of our session. I'm going to ask you to give us your concluding remarks. 1 minute take-home message. I know there are still hands, but time is against us. Our panelists will be around the whole day and tomorrow, so please feel free to mingle with them, get more information from them, and then that will be it. Because after their concluding remarks, I've got 2 last speakers who are going to wrap this up, who will respond, speakers from the funding agency. Concluding remarks, let's start on you, Ntate Msomi.
Thank you so much. I will say that the platform that we have here, let us all understand that research and development has been done on most of our products. Now, what is left is to commercialize. And to commercialize needs resources. That is when the investment funding comes in. We get that. We're gonna get this thing right because we have spent years developing this product. So there should be no serious risk in losing money because we have spent our time developing this product. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ms. Joyce.
Thank you very much. Firstly, I'd like to thank the DSTI for your support and for inviting us to showcase here. I would like to also say in closing, we ask that there be more of such opportunities where we not only come together as SMMEs, but also where we are given opportunities to meet and talk to investors so that we can grow this project. I also like to ask that everyone please take some time to go through our stalls there at the back. It's labeled iBrand, so you can see some of our amazing products that we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Meg Cunningham.
Hi, yes. Thank you, everybody, especially DSTI. And yes, we're looking forward. You guys are welcome to visit the store at the back. There is a lot of byproducts as well. It's not just Haribus tea. There's a lot you can do with Haribus tea. So please feel free to come in and join us at the back. And then to the funders, hopefully we can work together, collaborate somehow. I need to get something into Tsitsikamma, and we need to get the wild harvesters and the people that cultivate like ourselves to get us just to get a processing plant. That's all we need, because it will help so much with, Tsitsikamma, in the area we live, it's like close to 60% of our youth that's unemployed. So I need to get them going somehow. So yes, thank you.
Thank you. Mepasha.
Thank you very much. Firstly, as my fellow panelists have mentioned, I'd like to really say thank you to the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation for all the support that they've given us over the years, from training and incubation to support towards infrastructure, capacity building and business acceleration, and to all their support stakeholders as well who are involved within this development community. And I also urge you to visit our stall at the back at Sejong Tea Crafters. But more importantly, with all these people sitting in the room, I really urge you to support us in this retail space. When you come across a product that's produced by any of the SMMEs here in the room, besides ourselves, please do support. Please share and spread the word, because through your sales, through your purchases, we're able to grow our businesses and make a meaningful impact. So please be ambassadors of these stories that you've heard here today. And to the investors, South Africa is the third most biodiverse country in the world, but our market is not demonstrating, is not a representation of that biodiversity. And a lot of that biodiversity, the knowledge of that biodiversity, is within our rural communities. So your support could grow these rural communities and grow these economies and grow the biodiversity economy. If we look at China and Japan and look what they've done with their biodiversity, we could do the same, being more biodiverse than those Asian nations. So I really appreciate this opportunity, and I hope that we can engage further. Thank you.
Thank you. A round of applause to all our speakers. Thank you very much for the fantastic work. We can leave. I would like to invite to the stage two panelists to give us concluding remarks as they leave the stage. Thank you. We have Rendani from SIDFA and Zakeni from IRCA. These are funders. They will reflect on what has been said by our SMMEs, share their thoughts maybe on what we could do better. A round of applause, please. Thank you, Maria. A quick introduction of your entity and a response to the comments made. Thank you. We can hear. You can use.
Sandwan. So my name is Zakeni Ngubo. So I represent the Innovation and Research Commercialization Agency. So what we primarily do is sit at the center between innovation and research and the private sector, as well as legislators. So what we essentially have is a roadmap and partnerships that facilitate and enable commercialization. So taking ideas and concepts, as well as publicly funded research, and creating a pathway to get those into the market. Thank you.
Intro.
Good afternoon. I'm Rendani, and I'm from SETFA. I'm the investment principal in the wholesale lending division. And SETFA is a merge between CEDA, CIFA, and Cooperative Development Agency. So our role is to support SMEs, and that is done through different methods. So the first method is through business development services that are offered to businesses, which is to get them to a level wherein they are bankable or they are fundable. And we also support SMEs through what we call lending and investments, wherein we provide funding to SMEs that require the necessary support in order to establish and grow their businesses. And that is done through what we call direct lending, wherein we give a business funding directly, and also what we call wholesale lending, wherein we work with intermediaries and also fund managers in order to invest in SMEs. And the last part that's critical is also in terms of us providing de-risking for SMEs through what we call credit guarantees. So we've got an entity, Kula Credit, which is an entity that provides guarantee to commercial banks so that they should be able to fund small unbanked SMEs or high-risk SMEs, wherein, for example, if you go to FNB or ABSA can fund you on a backing that SETFA will jump in case you can't repay the loan. Thank you.
While you still have the microphone, is there hope for our SMMEs that just pitched? If any, what advice can you give them or support that you can promise?
Okay, thanks so much. So it was quite interesting and I think encouraging to hear the entrepreneurs present their businesses and what they do. And listening to what they've provided us, I think there's a lot of work that has been done by these SMEs in order to be where they are. And I think we should commend them for such a lot of investment and work. I don't think it's that easy. But in terms of going further, as I looked at these businesses, I liked something that was a theme that I picked up as they were presenting. And if you listen carefully to all these businesses, they spoke about community. It was not about themselves. And I think that's one critical thing when you establish a business, to include the community that you are working with, which will be able to support you in terms of being able to grow as a business and also achieve the targets that you have. In terms of what I can advise or say is that we have opportunities at SETFA that can be able to support them in terms of, I think if I look at the three businesses, they spoke about assistance in terms of commercialization, entering into the markets, new market opportunities. And I think with our business development services unit, we are able to support them in terms of technology adoption. We are also able to assist them in terms of some of the systems that they have in order to improve and ensure that they operate effectively. We are also able to open new markets in terms of partnership with the SMEs that come to us. And I can end it there. I think we can talk about the financing later on.
Let's make sure we record him. It's committed, so we've got some funder who has promised. Zakeni, from your side, how do you help our SMMEs?
I think firstly, I just want to sort of point something out. So I think a lot of the time we focus on building products. And it's also a mistake that I made myself, in my early age as an entrepreneur, is that we focus so much on solving a problem and creating a really great product. And during the process where we're creating products, we fail to set up the systems that allow for commercialization to actually happen. And that's usually some of the biggest barriers that we find, is that you have people who have spent 2 to 3 years developing really great products, but at the end of the product development, where they now need to go to market, there are no actual systems that allow them to go to market. The business is not registered, the IP is not assigned, there is no bank account. And so now when you're at that phase where you need funding, unfortunately funders are going to be looking at systems. No matter how great the product is, And so then it ends up being an extra amount of time that you have to spend developing those systems in order for you to be compatible, not only with the funders, but also with the distributors and the suppliers. And so I think we need to first shift that mentality, whereby we understand, yes, we're developing products, but we also need to understand that we're developing business. And so if we start in parallel to developing products, like actually thinking about how do we develop systems that can allow us to be able to commercialize. A lot of what is happening in Silicon Valley and all of the successful businesses is that when people are registering their businesses, by the time they're actually starting, they know who they want to sell to. They know what is the end goal of their innovation. And so as a result of that, they build in systems early on. They start tracking their capital. They start tracking their spending, their financial systems, their due diligence systems, ensures the alignment between where they are now and what they're going to need in the future. And I think if we simply did that, and then we knew that in order for you to really build a sustainable commercial entity, you need to build three things. You need to build systems, you need to build people, meaning that we need to also shift our mentality from product developers to entrepreneurs, to leaders. And if we don't have that capacity, we have to create space to partner with people who do have that capacity. Because ultimately, it's going to take a person who has the capacity and the skill and the talent to be able to take the product to market. And also in doing so, we then build the points of leverage. How are we going to separate ourselves in the market? What are the systems we're going to use to enter the market? And these are the things that include, building in what is my leverage in terms of BE? What is my leverage in terms of the green economy? What is the markets and the environment are prioritizing or will be prioritizing in the next 5 years so that I can position myself now as I build, so that by the time I get to the point where I've finished the product, I'm not now stuck looking for funding. But the funding conversation and the funding structures were there from the very beginning. And so I think us as a stakeholders who are working with innovation systems, we need to start thinking along those lines, that how do we ensure that we are building parallel systems to the products, which means the funders need to be brought in early. The distributors need to be brought in early so that we understand what are the processes that are going to be needed to unlock this level of funding and then to unlock this level of distribution. For instance, we work with the CSIR on some of their commercialization projects, and one of the things that we did in the Venture Builder program was to look at the IP that they have and then say, okay, who are the partners who can fund these different IPs and who are the legislators and the distributors? From the time we started, we developed a panel and we brought in those people in the room so that those people are part of the conversations from the very beginning. And therefore, then we know that if we are building a product now, this is the type of funding we're going to need. If we need soft funding, grant funding, then we've got the SAB Foundation, we've got these guys who offer this type of funding. Once this person meets the particular criteria and reaches a particular level, now they need to go to this particular funder. And that funder is there in the process and understands the process. And so it just makes it easier for you to not create blockages whereby you start and then you stop. And then by the time you need to go to market, now you have to work out, I need the IP license, I need to set up a company, I need to create a bank account. Because those are the things that I think we need to start thinking about those things from the very beginning of thinking about how do we then commercialize and how do we build.
Thank you very much. So Rendani, an entrepreneur that says, I've approached SIFTFA, I'm not happy with them, they didn't fund me, I'm not happy. What response do you give to such discouraged SMMEs?
Thank you. So yeah, that's one reality that is really happening, and I mean you can see in online media in some cases where people are disgruntled because of maybe their funding was not approved or given attention to. So what I would suggest or advise the entrepreneur to do is that you should be able to contact us in terms of following up on your application. Because of every region has an office that is responsible for your applications. So it becomes easier if you, for example, if you applied in Gauteng, we've got 2 Gauteng offices. It's easier to follow up in the Gauteng office so that you get attention. So currently, some of the systems that we're using may receive an application but not notify us. So it's critical that when an entrepreneur submits an application, they should follow up and not leave it to chance that they will just contact me or their application will just receive attention. So I think the moment you engage with us, we are able to assist you and ensure that your applications goes through the systems. And I mean, if it's not meeting the requirements, we will be able to give you the reasons why we couldn't take your application further, and also give you suggestions on how you can improve or solve some of the issues that are in your submission, to ensure that if you would like to reapply again, please ensure that you have fixed those issues, so that we can be partners in terms of us providing you the necessary capital to support your business and grow it.
It's that perseverance they were talking about when they say knock, 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 knock. I see. We are reaching the end of our discussion. Panelists, words of wisdom, concluding remarks from your side, 1 minute each. From your side, Zakeni.
So I'm going to echo the things that I said earlier. I think we need to shift from building products and understand that we are building products that are going to be part of a bigger ecosystem. And so we need to shift our mentality from being students, from being researchers, to being entrepreneurs. And we also have to be honest with ourselves. If there is actually something that we want to do, if we want to acquire that skill, then we need to position ourselves in a way that we learn that skill. But we also need to understand that if we feel like we are not the right people to do that, to have that capacity, then we need to create spaces to bring in people who are entrepreneurial by nature. And this is where collaboration and partnerships come in. You can develop a product and you can bring in someone who's really entrepreneurial to be able to take it to market, and you can still remain as part of the ecosystem that actually continues to develop the product. And so I think a lot of what we have to do is, in the process of building these products, we need to understand business, we need to understand ourselves, but most importantly, we need to understand that what we're developing and what we're building is bigger than just us. And so it's really going to take us going out there and finding the right people and finding the right partnerships and building long-term relationships that then can sustain the different stages of the ventures that we are building.
Thank you much. Renda, over to you.
Thank you. So in terms of the discussions that we have in all the SMEs that we're here, working in the indigenous knowledge innovations, it's quite a niche space or industry. And I think when you go to investors, it's critical that you make them understand what your products are, in terms of also the market that you're going to operate in, and also in terms of all the compliance requirements that are critical as part of your business. So that helps us understand and also make the right decisions in terms of supporting you as an entrepreneur to ensure that you get funded. Because in some cases, entrepreneurs may submit an application and expect that you will easily understand the industry or the niche market that they operate in. It's advisable that you make it as easier as possible for somebody who might not be in the space to really understand what's happening in your business and what are your expectations. And in some of the cases, as part of our operations, what we do is that as we operate with intermediaries, we give funding to intermediaries that are specialists in specific sectors, so that they are able to fund the businesses in those sectors. As I was listening to the panelists that were here before me, I identified opportunities wherein we can work with them as intermediaries to fund the communities in which they are operating in. For example, we have funded some communities in Mpumalanga, wherein they are producing sugar cane, and it's been supplied to a listed company. And these are individuals who are old age people, people without any form of education. But through our funding, we're able to reach them through partnership with industry players who are willing to partner with us in order to work in rural communities. We've got funds that are for women, funds that are targeted to rural communities, which the SMEs can get or take advantage of. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope that you picked something from the dialogue, you are inspired, and it will be my pleasure to showcase your SMME the next time we meet. Please give my panel members a round of applause, and thanks to you all.